In this video, I'm going to introduce complex numbers, show you how to graph them, and how to write numbers in complex form. Let's first talk about what a complex number is. It is made up of a real and an imaginary part. So for example, if I wrote the number 2 plus 3i, this would be a complex number. If I just had the number 2, that's considered a real number. So the number that doesn't have the I is called the real number. The second number following in the expression is the imaginary number, and it has the I. Technically, the number 3i we can't see in the real world, and we can't see it on a normal number line. For us to be able to see an imaginary number, what they are going to do is take your standard graph paper of x and y, and they're actually called different things. We don't graph x on the x-axis, we actually graph the real number here, and the y-axis is actually the imaginary number. So if I ask you to graph the number 2 plus 3i, it's really the same as the ordered pair 2, 3, because the 2 represents the real number, the 3i represents the imaginary number. So I would graph that by going over 2, and I would go up 3. I would plot that point, and I would call this 2 plus 3i. Now be careful, this isn't normal graph paper that we're used to in algebra class. This is a very specific piece of graph paper called a complex plane. So you can only graph imaginary numbers if the graph paper says the x-axis is the real and the y-axis is the imaginary. So let me show you how to graph 4 more of these. If we graph here the letter A, it's the number 1 plus 1i. The real number is 1, the imaginary is 1i. So the ordered pair would be the ordered pair 1 for the real and 1 for the I. I would go over 1, 1, plot the point, and call it A. To plot the letter here B, that's the complex number negative 3 minus 2i. That's going to be the ordered pair negative 3 minus 2. So I go left 3, down 2, plot that point, and I'm going to call it B. Now let's plot point C. This is just the number 5, and it's just a real number that I can imagine, like $5. But this real number can be written as a complex number. I would just say it's 5 plus 0 i's. Therefore, its ordered pair, as a complex ordered pair, is 5, 0. So I'm going to go over to 5 to the right and do 0 for the y, or the imaginary part, and call that C. The last one is letter D. Let's graph the imaginary number negative 3i. Again, that can actually be written as a complex number. There is no real component, so the real number is 0. The imaginary is negative 3i. Therefore, the ordered pair would be 0, negative 3. So I'm going to go 0 and then down 3, and I'm going to call that letter D. So let's reverse it. Look at the graph paper and figure out where is point E and what complex number do we call that. If you look at where it is on the graph paper, it's at negative 3 and negative 7. The first number is real, so it's at negative 3. The second's the imaginary, so it's negative 7i. The point F here is at the ordered pair negative 8 and 5. The real number is the first, so it's negative 8. The second's imaginary, so it's plus 5i. And those are the complex numbers that represent E and F.